Woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil sends a beast with wrath, because he wants me to make another Relive the Music classic album review video. So today it is Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast album, which we're looking at, as voted for by you, the viewers, on my recent community poll. So I basically put this album up alongside Seventh Son of a Seventh Son and Somewhere in Time, and this came out on top with 50% of the vote. So in this review video, I'm going to give you some information about the album and then a little bit of background info about each track, and we'll delve through it song by song. So my name's Ricky and welcome to the channel Relive the Music. The Number of the Beast is Iron Maiden's third studio album, and it was released in March 1982, and it's gone on to sell an impressive 19 million copies worldwide, making it their most successful album to date. So it's the first album to feature Bruce Dickinson on vocals, having replaced Paul Di'Anno, and it's also the last album to feature Clive Burr on drums, who would be superseded by Nickel McBrain. So the album was produced by Martin Birch, and it was recorded at Battery Studios in London, and this whole process just took about 5 weeks to write and record and produce it. So there were some strange goings on during the making of this, such as the lights going on and off in the studio and the band's equipment frequently breaking down. There's also quite a famous story of Martin Birch being involved in a car accident where he went into the back of a minibus carrying a group of nuns, and when he got the bill back from the garage, the bill was reportedly £666. So some really strange goings on. Is that just coincidence, or is it anything to do with the fact that it's meant to be coincided with the beast? Who knows? So the artwork for this was done by Derek Riggs, and it features Eddie controlling the devil, and this was inspired by Derek Riggs reading a comic of Doctor Strange, in which there was like an episode where he remembers like a puppet being juggled. So the concept here is basically who's controlling or who's manipulating who. So you've got Eddie controlling the devil, who actually is meant to sort of look like Salvador Dali. So Derek Riggs did this as a bit of a joke, and you can actually see he's got a tiny little bit of a moustache. And then the devil's controlling Eddie below. So as I say, it's meant to be who's controlling who's manipulating who. So the actual album itself, this was meant to be set against like a dark grey black background, but it went to the printers and it's actually came out blue. That was just a misprint. So if you've ever wondered why there's like two different images of it, then that's why. Okay, so now we'll delve into the tracks itself. So there's 8 songs on this album, and it lasts just over 39 minutes, and the first of those songs we hear is Invaders. So we get the sort of trademark Iron Maiden sound of galloping bass lines and twin guitars, and we also get to hear Bruce Dickinson on vocals for the first time, and we kind of get the full range of his talents on this song alone. So the theme, Invaders, it's about Vikings coming over and invading countries, so kind of deals with that theme of like war and violence and conflict, and it's a really fun song. So this isn't actually played a lot live. I've never heard it myself, so they probably played it like at the start when this album was touring on the Beast in the Road. So if you're lucky enough to have heard this live, then let me know in the comments. So the second song on the album is Children of the Damned, and this is another one just written by Steve Harris, although according to Bruce Dickinson in later years, he actually had a hand in Children of the Damned, The Prisoner and Run to the Hills, but due to contract obligations with the band that he left, Samson, he couldn't actually be accredited with it. So this song was influenced by the films Village of the Damned and its sequel Children of the Damned, and that's obviously where the title comes from. So, you know, it's about demonic children if you listen to the lyrics of it, and some of you have probably seen the film. So it's got a nice sort of mild tempoed feel about it. You know, it starts off slow and you really get a sense of Bruce's powerful voice in it, and then it goes into some good guitar solos towards the end of it. So yeah, it's a real sort of fan's favourite. You know, it's one of the deeper cuts. I think the first time that I'd heard this was on the Live After Death album, and I really enjoy hearing it whenever it's played live. Okay, so the third song on the album is called The Prisoner, and this is actually based off of the TV show of the same name, starring Patrick McGoohan. So at the start of this song, they wanted to use a bit from the show, the bit where it goes, "We want information, who are you?" So apparently Patrick actually owned the rights to that. So there's a story told whereby Smallwood had to actually phone Patrick to get permission for this. And he was really nervous and he made a total hash of it. And Patrick turns around and is like, "Who's the name of the band?" And he's like, "Iron Maiden." "I like it, do it." That's apparently how the story goes. So they got the permission and they did it. So the song itself, I really like it. It starts off like on the drums quite slow and then builds up, and then it really kicks in and thunders along on the guitars, and then sort of halfway through it you've got the excellent guitar solos on it as well. It's also got a beautiful kind of melodic chorus. I think I really enjoy singing along to that. And yeah, it's one of my favourite songs. In fact, maybe the favourite song off of this album alongside Hallowed Be Thy Name. So I actually did get a full copy of this song when they played it on tour in Glasgow in the Future Past tour in 2023. So if you want to hear it, then you can check out on my channel. So the fourth song in the album is 22 Acacia Avenue, and it's the second longest, coming in about 6.5 minutes. So it's another one written by Harrison Smith. So it also brings back the character Charlotte the Harlot, who appears in earlier Iron Maiden songs, and it's a kind of thematic sequel to that, exploring a life in the fictional Acacia Avenue, and it deals with the stories of streets, sin and personal history. So the foundation for the song goes back to Adrian Smith's days at his previous band called Urchin, and parts of the melodies and ideas were reworked into this song. So what I really like about this song is just the way it starts with the guitar with the and then the drum coming in, "If you're feeling down, depressed and lonely," and it builds. It's just another one really good to sing along to, and the crowd can go 22 and shout out the avenue, and then towards the end of the song it gets really explosive and you really hear Bruce's powerful lyrics on it. So yeah, really good song. Okay, so the fifth song on this album is the title track itself, "A Number of the Beast," and this song alone is what perhaps gives this album its notoriety. So when this was released, there was various religious groups, specifically in the US, which thought that Iron Maiden were like practicing Satanists due to the date of the album. So there was various people going out and burning copies of this album, believing that it was evil. But this only added to the band's like fame and popularity, and you know, bring awareness of the album to everybody. So at the start of this song, you've obviously got the famous voiceover, which comes on before the song bursts into life. And this was actually performed by Barry Clayton. So he's actually the voice on the cartoon Count Duckula.
Good night out there, whatever you are.
If any of you remember that from the late 80s, early 90s. So they'd originally wanted an actor by the name of Vincent Price to do it. So he was famous for his roles in various horror films, but apparently he wanted £25,000 to record it, so the band said no. There's also a really famous part at the start of this song with Bruce Dickinson's famous scream. So this actually comes as part of like hours of frustration at Martin Birch wanting him to redo the start of this song. So after about 4 or 5 hours of not being able to get it right, he just kind of gives it a loud scream of frustration, and then they were like, "That's it, that's what we're going to use." So this song is obviously a huge part of Iron Maiden's identity, and it's played live at almost every show and in every tour that they do. And it's obviously a big fan's favourite as well, the fact that you can sing along to it and put your horns up and shout back, "Sex, sex, sex." Run to the Hills is the 6th song on the album, and this was actually released as the first single from it a month prior to the album's release, so this was in February 1982, and it became the band's first ever top 10 UK hit, and it peaked at number 7 in the charts. So what's quite unique about this song, if you watch the actual video for it, is it's kind of seen through two perspectives. You've got this sort of Native Americans viewpoint of being invaded, and then you've got the colonial European invader. So it basically highlights the injustice, the conflict and the displacement. It's also really short, it just comes in at under 4 minutes long, so it made it ideal as a first single. And it's really hooky, you know, there's sort of no more trademark a song than Run to the Hills. It's that kind of thunders along, just that really galloping song. And it's also another one that the crowd loves to sing along to when it's played live. Okay, the 7th song on the album is called Gangland, and this is quite rare because it's actually been written by Adrian Smith and Clive Burr and not Harris. And this is actually the only song which Clive Burr, I believe, has got any credits on. So the theme for it is obviously around about gangs and violence, and there was some debate whether to put this on the album or another song called Total Eclipse. So Total Eclipse actually featured as a B-side to the single Run to the Hills, and there has been regrets that perhaps that wasn't put in instead of this song, but they left this one on it. But I think it was from like the 1998 remaster of the Number of the Beast album onwards that they actually put Total Eclipse on it as well. So some of you, if you listen to the album, there might be 9 tracks on there. So sadly, this is another song which I've never actually heard performed live. So it's a bit like Invaders that I talked about earlier on. It's one that the band don't seem to feature in their set list. So if you're a person out there that has actually heard this live, then let me know in the comments. Okay, so the last song on the album is Hallowed Be Thy Name, and it's also the longest, it's just over 7 minutes long. So this basically talks about somebody who's waiting execution at the gallows, and they're basically reflecting on their life and pondering mortality, fear, fate, the afterlife. And the lyrics move from despair to defiance and to spiritual reflection. So it's regarded by some as one of their best songs. And quite often this will be the one that used to close a set, or they would come back on for like an encore, and this would be like the first song of like 2 or 3 that they would do. So it's really good. Starts off dead slow where you've got like the bell chiming, and then it gathers pace, and then it's really good for the crowd to get involved with this one as well. You know, they like singing the lyrics to it. And then quite often what Bruce does is it gets towards the end of the song, when it's on the bits with the guitar solos, he goes to the crowd as if he's like getting them to lift the roof and build the crowd up like that. So yeah, it's a really good song and a really good way to finish the album. It's also worth noting that sometimes this song is played at a different pace. Quite often when I've heard this, it's played at a lot faster than what the album version is, a bit like Revelations. Okay folks, so there you have it. That is all 8 songs covered on this classic album, which was Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast. So let me know in the comments below what your favourite song or songs are from this album and why. And also, hopefully you have enjoyed this review video, so if you have, then if you give it a big thumbs up, that would be greatly appreciated. And obviously take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Up the irons.